Hey, you know what? I always wanted to kind of evaluate if my WR250R would be a good bug out vehicle when shit hits the fan. I go through my thought process on this topic on this ride. So with this COVID-19 epidemic, this pandemic that's hitting all of us right now, you know, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and just scenarios about shit hitting the fan. I mean, granted, this COVID-19 is a very serious topic, serious virus. It still could be worse. I mean, we are experiencing kind of a shutdown in all aspects of normal life, but it's not a complete shit hit at the fan scenario. I mean, you know, a lot of people are retreating back to their homes. But in my mind, a shit hit the fan scenario would be, you know, you got to bug out. You got to basically leave your home, take your supplies with you, and maybe have to fight to get out of Dodge. So in that case, would a dual sport, more specifically WR250R, be a good bug out vehicle? And I think the answer is it depends. If you had to squirt out of town and you were by yourself and there was traffic on them highways over there, wall to wall, and you needed to split traffic and go maybe about 50, 100, you know, maybe 300 miles with a full tank of gas and maybe some on reserve, then okay, that might be good with limited with a limited payload. But realistically, I think the WR250R would suck as a bug out vehicle for the reasons that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think the WR250R for you know, off-road, get the fuck out of Dodge real quick, is a great vehicle. But if you had to pack up, and if you had to go somewhere super remote, at a very great distance, then I don't think it'll be the preferred vehicle of my choice. I actually think it would be a great secondary vehicle. In other words, I'm thinking a good bug out vehicle would be a truck or an SUV of some sort that has a big payload that'll carry family members, dogs, water, food, even shelter, and even, you know, a spare vehicle like a WR250R hitched at the back, right? So if you had to bug out, find temporary shelter in a remote area and use the truck, you know, or the vehicle for shelter and kind of base camp purposes, then take the WR250R potentially or some other dual sport, hitch it on the back, and run your hunting missions or your food gathering missions or your water gathering missions using that vehicle as you establish your camp. That's the way I would use the WR250R. So the answer to is a WR250R a good bug out vehicle when shit hit the fan is yes, only if you're the only person that you're responsible for and you know where you're going when you bug out, and a qualified yes as an auxiliary vehicle that can be add-on to your primary vehicle. I know this sounds kind of nerdy, but this is the way I think. That was a fucking cop. Anyways, now WR250R would be a great secondary bug out vehicle, but I don't think it would be the best. I mean, obviously, I love my WR250R in supermoto trim and enduro trim, but if I had a bug out, I wouldn't take my supermoto. Obviously, I'd take my enduro, specifically my black Cycle Cruiser 3.0 WR250R version with the enduro wheel setup and the Go Race suspension. That's optimum for off-road riding, maybe even hunting, maybe even kind of general kind of getting to remote places. High ground clearance, low maintenance, high reliability. I think it'll be, you know, it'll serve as a good bug out auxiliary vehicle. But I think another option would be a TW200. In my previous video, the TW200 was actually the bike I started learning how to ride on in the self-defense driving classes. That was like I think a 2-day class, but they put me on a TW200. I think it's a great bike. Not only does it weigh less, it's not super fast at all, but it is reliable. It's got a small footprint, so if you had to put it in a truck or carry it around on a kind of rack or in the bed of a truck, you don't have to sacrifice too much space. And also as an auxiliary vehicle, speed, you know, just freaking tricking out is not going to be your primary purpose. So TW200 or even a Rokon, because although the TW200, you know, big fat tires, it is a street legal bike, right? But if you're in a remote area, that really doesn't even matter. So a Rokon, which is an all-wheel drive bike that also floats, can be a good option too. So anyways, thankfully this COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, as severe as it is, it could be worse. I mean, grocery stores are still stocked, albeit you have to wait in line, and there's, you know, if anything, this pandemic, this global pandemic is teaching us a lot of lessons. So if you are a prepper at any level, or even a freaking government official, I hope this serves as a learning lesson on what to do if a more serious pandemic hits the world, and we got to be prepared for it. So anyways, that's my thought. Citizen dual sport, always thinking. Honestly, the reason why I got into dual sport riding was the overlap of these vehicles as being bug out vehicles. You know, dual sports are a multi-purpose bike, and as a bug out vehicle, you should be looking for a multi-purpose bike or a multi-purpose vehicle. You know, 4x4s, trucks, vans, SUVs, dual sport bikes. I think they all serve their purpose in a bug out vehicle option. I think even more importantly, if shit does hit the fan, and you got to be prepared with your bug out vehicle options. Keep your vehicles maintained, do the oil change, do the clutch job on your WR250R. So when it's time to bug out, you can bug out in an instant.